Hey, my Legion, I'm back with another TV special review, and this was, I saw this off the Roku, off the PBS station. I saw commercials of this, and I didn't know, I missed it. I can't remember when it was broadcast. And this is Eddie Murphy's, the Kennedy Center Mark Twain Award for American Humor. And I'm reviewing this, and it was weird. I went back to PBS to check it, and I had to sign in again. I had to do it like an activation code and all that stuff, but that's alright. It was easy. And I got to see it, and it was very entertaining. The last one I think I saw was the one with Steve Martin or Carl Reiner. I can't remember. There was some other ones I missed. I'm going to have to go back and see what one they have, because I missed some. They said Will Ferrell was on there, and they said George Carlin was on there after he passed away. So I have to check it out. And apparently they made a big, they talked about this some on like Inside Edition and stuff like that, because Tracy Morgan was supposed to be back. And basically what this was a bunch of comedians coming up and saluting Eddie Murphy. And Eddie Murphy has been incredibly lucky, especially in the 80s. He was 18 or 19 when he started on Saturday Night Live. And that's really lucky. And then I saw a review for Trading Places from Siskel and Ebert, an old one on YouTube, and they say he was 22 years old when he did Trading Places. Very successful film. So, I mean, he's incredibly lucky. And he was doing like Delirious and around that time in 83 and stuff, super successful stand-up. And they had a bunch of comedians come out, and they showed basically clips from the 80s. I bet you, in a lot of ways, I think Eddie Murphy wishes he was in the 80s, because that's when his most popular stuff came out. In the 90s, his star kind of faded, and then after, especially the New Millennium, his star kind of, except for his voice work. And they had comedians like come out like Chris Rock and George Lopez and Kevin Nealon. I think they shot away to Eddie Murphy when Kevin Nealon was doing a stand-up, and looked like Eddie Murphy didn't think he was that funny. Or he may have been a little bit upset by some things he said. I don't know. That they just showed the quick cutaway, because usually he's laughing when the comedian was doing it, and he really wasn't when they were doing it. Arsenio Hall came out, and the only thing I remember the reference to his voice work was Kathy Griffin came out and was talking about Shrek. Because I remember he did like the donkey in Shrek, and also the dragon Mulan, and also in the show The PJs. And except for that and the work on Nutty Professor and the sequel, his career over the last 20 years hasn't been so-so. Well, he got nominated for Dreamgirls, which I never saw that for Academy Award. So I haven't really seen his work as much as I used to back in the 80s. I used to watch this stuff all along in the early 90s. And one thing I forgot when I did my review of Delirious and the Golden Child, I didn't mention, I said the last movie I saw was Boomerang at Cinema World. No, I take that back. I remember I took my niece Taylor, and my dad, myself, and Taylor went to see Mulan, and he did the voice of the dragon in that. That was the last Eddie Murphy movie I saw in the theater, and that was, 97 or something like that. Well, anyways, like I said, a bunch of comedians came out, and they did like just stick about Eddie Murphy, and they said how great he was, and then what he is. And also, I liked Arsenio Hall compared him to Richard Pryor as far as the greatest comedians. I agree with that. Richard Pryor's a little bit better. And they showed his clips. Usually it was from Saturday Night Live, Trading Places. They showed Shrek, Nutty Professor, Coming to America. They didn't show anything 48 Hours. They didn't show anything for Disney. I didn't know if anyone was going to come out and show one of his lesser known or one of his lesser well received, or one of his more of his lesser movies that didn't do as well at the box office. And then Trevor Howard. No, it wasn't Trevor Howard. That guy from Trevor Noah, the guy who's hosting the Daily Show now, came out and he did his thing, and he showed a clip from Distinguished Gentleman, which was one of his lesser known movies. I like Distinguished Gentleman. I enjoyed that movie. Well, anyways, it was a very entertaining movie, and then he came out and did some Bill Cosby stuff at the end. Eddie Murphy did, which was probably, I think they were talking about that on Inside Edition being somewhat controversial, but it was funny. And overall, for the most part, it was a very entertaining show. It ebbed and flowed a little bit. A lot of the Saturday Night Live clips I pretty much know because I remember getting Best of Eddie Murphy was like an hour and a half long clip from Saturday Night Live when I was in the Army. And I know my friends liked watching that all the time. So I knew most of those by heart. It was cool seeing another thing from Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood because I just saw the SNL Thanksgiving Day special. I decided to give that a shot. And that was okay except for 2 or 3 really lousy skits. Most of the skits on that was funny. So that gets me a 7 out of 10. And they had a Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood that was really funny. I was hoping they wouldn't show the same one. They showed one with a dog. I remember when they asked the dog to sit, he said, "Sit, Cujo." Now, I remember my mother laughing at that part because that was a popular Stephen King thing at the time, Cujo. I don't know if it became a movie yet, but it was a popular book. And my mom laughed at that part. I remember that. When it first aired, not when I saw it today. But when it first aired, she laughed at that. My mother lives in McCain now. But it was a very entertaining thing. A little bit touching when Tracy Morgan came out there and said that when he woke from his coma, Eddie Murphy, he got called Eddie Murphy, and Eddie Murphy was the first one to make him laugh. So it was a little bit touching, that part. But it was a very entertaining show. I give this probably a 8.5 out of 10. Some of the comedy was ebbing and flowing a little bit, because I'm not a big George Lopez fan. And a couple of the other comedians were only so funny. But it was very entertaining for what it was. So if you get a chance to see the PBS streaming site, or if it broadcasts again on PBS, definitely check out Eddie Murphy, the Kennedy Center Mark Twain Prize. I don't know, they had a very big, long title. It's Eddie Murphy, the Kennedy Center Mark Twain Prize for American Humor. I don't know if I'm going to say the whole thing on my thumbnail. I might. So until next time, please take care of my Legion. Very entertaining show.